So these are the codes for the PSR, the periodontal screening and recording, and we have 5 codes. They go from 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there can also be an asterisk if necessary. Now, it isn't absolutely necessary that each sextant will have one, but if some of these features are present, we will give a sextant an asterisk. Every sextant only gets 1 code, so therefore in a mouth there will be 6 codes altogether. Code 0, which is the best code, refers to when you probe that entire sextant, if this colored band here on the probe is completely visible throughout the entire sextant when you're probing, there's no calculus, no bleeding, and no defective margins, that means that sextant is a code 0. The next code, a code 1, means that again you probe that entire sextant and you could see this colored part of the PSR probe was completely visible for the entire sextant. This time though there was some bleeding in any area of that sextant. Code 2 is slightly different, yet still quite similar. Code 2 means that you probed the entire sextant. You could still see this colored band for the entire sextant, yet there was calculus present. So even if you see one little bit of calculus in that sextant, but you could see this colored band the entire time, it's automatically a code 2. So what's similar between 0, 1, and 2 is that you could see this colored band the entire time. The difference is code 0 is no bleeding, no calculus, no defective margins. Code 1 means there was bleeding, and code 2 means there was calculus. Code 3 means that at the worst area of that sextant, part of this colored band on the probe disappeared, so it went subgingival. We don't worry about bleeding and calculus, just as if the worst area, part of this band was covered up, that is now a code 3. Code 4 means that if any area or the worst area of a sextant, the entire colored band here on the probe goes subgingival, automatically that is a code 4. And this again doesn't worry about bleeding or calculus or defective margins. Just if this entire colored band disappears subgingival, it's a code 4. If that happens, you can move on to the next sextant because there's no code that's higher than a 4. Any sextant that has furcation involvement, mobility, mucogingival problem, or 2 millimeters of recession or more will also get an asterisk. So how this looks when we go to record it on our sheet here, you see 6 boxes here. This is sextant 1, sextant 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each box will only get 1 number, and that number, or that code, corresponds to the worst area in that particular sextant. We also will date it, so we'll go with yesterday's date. So if in sextant 1 I have a code 1, and that was the worst area, I'd give it a 1. Maybe code 0 for sextant 2. And these, of course, are just fictitious numbers, but what it means is I had a code 1 in sextant 1, a code 0, sextant 2, code 1, sextant 3, code 2, sextant 4, code 1, sextant 5, and code 2, sextant 6. If there was, let's say, 2 millimeters of recession on one of the anterior teeth on the lower, I'd give this an asterisk as well, just to indicate that there was a clinical abnormality.
When describing gingiva or gums, the dentist will use 4 terms to communicate his or her findings: terms of color, contour, texture, and consistency. Let's describe texture and consistency. The texture is the surface characteristics. Healthy gums generally have stippled appearance similar to a peel of an orange, and consistency refers to the resiliency. Healthy gums are usually very resilient, as opposed to gums which are inflamed, which are rather edematous. In Caucasian, the color is generally coral pink, but deposits of melanin render it darker depending on the racial background of the individual. This image demonstrates the color of gums in an African American male, demonstrating the melanin pigments accounting for the dark colors. Variations in color and texture are also important in differentiating healthy from unhealthy gingiva. In these images, the very top slide demonstrates healthy gingiva, where the tissues are stippled, coral pink, and firm, as opposed to the slide demonstrating periodontitis, where gingiva are rather bluish, dark, and there is suppuration from the pockets. The gingival margin is the most coronal part of the gingiva, and it parallels to the border between the crown and the root of the tooth. At times, due to intrinsic factors such as excessive abrasion or disease, the gingival margin recedes apically. When this happens, gum recession takes place. This particular image demonstrates gum recession, causing exposed root surfaces, which can lead to thermal sensitivity. The gum tissue between the two teeth is referred to as the interdental papilla. It is usually triangular and covers completely the interproximal space. In health, it is usually flat and covers the interproximal space completely. However, in teeth where there are spaces, large spaces exist, that interdental papilla may be slightly blunted, such as this slide demonstrates.